dwarves. They're tiny. They're angry. They gather gold. They fought orcs. They took back a mountain. And then one of them was able to go to the Undying Lands.
This is Carlos.
That's the end of the show.
Recording in progress. Thank you. Roja?
Peroni?
Nice. Is a local one that a guy that I used to work for is their head brewer, or not work with. Hey, can you hit Carl, or can you hear Ariel right now?
Yeah.
He said yeah. Should I? We're gonna close the door.
Okay.
I think a big...
Have her try.
Hey, Ariel, go ahead and say something.
Very faintly.
He said barely, so you're good. Yeah, well, one of the issues that we're running into right now is because we don't really have anything in the house. The whole house is still very echoey.
Yeah.
So, once we have furniture
and furnishings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the people who didn't get to see earlier, got Aragon's dagger from Ariel's brother-in-law. He said he bought it a long time ago, but knew that I would get more use out of it. So, and by more use, I think he just means that it's going to sit on the shelf behind me.
Yeah.
Somewhere. So, but that is more use. And technically I have used it as a knife twice since I've been here because I don't know where any of my knives are.
Did you cut a cake with it like the Queen of England?
No, I opened a box and something else. I can't remember what else I did with it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what you use it for.
Yeah. So how are you, man?
I'm good.
Yeah. This is actually going to work this time.
Don't say that.
No, like everything's so clear and pretty and like it's working great.
Except my
I know yours likes to unfocus.
Mine does like to unfocus. Maybe that's the next thing I buy. We'll see. If we get more subscribers, I'll upgrade my camera.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So don't like the show if you don't want me to get a new camera.
Yeah, right. Like, subscribe, and what's the other thing? Give us money on Patreon.
Yeah, there you go. Sign up to the Patreon.
Yeah. But yeah, man, how are you?
I'm good. This is gonna be my final year in the 30s.
Oh.
The odometer gets a new decade next year.
For some reason, I thought you were younger than me.
Oh, I think I'm a little bit older.
You're a year older because I'm yeah. So did you just turn 39?
Tomorrow.
So
yeah.
I turned 38 in November.
Yeah. So I'm a year and
few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I'm doing a whole lot of nothing.
Nice.
Melissa's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, nothing really.
Why would I want to do something?
I'm over like the birthday parties. Like I don't need like a big party.
Yeah.
Even for my 40th, I'll probably just do something small.
Just go on a trip.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
I did for my 30th go to Pebble Beach.
Yeah. That's right. You told me about that.
That was fun. So,
I know Ariel was telling you a little bit about it, but did you? I don't know if you got what she said, but we actually have a virtual golf thing downstairs.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that. We went down and I hit a few balls into it the other day. It was fun. It's a little terrifying at first.
Is it?
Well, because you're just full force smacking a golf ball into thing.
Like a screen, right?
Yeah.
Like a net. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is going to come back at me. Like,
yeah.
But it does a good job of just like dropping down.
Yeah. So you guys have a pool too?
Mm-hmm.
Pool.
It's not very big, but like it's big enough.
Fitness area?
We do have a gym, again, not very big, but they've got like bumper plates and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I've been fitnessing again.
Good.
Yeah.
I've been fitnessing again, and I see 0 results.
I kind of feel the same way, but
It's just like it's definitely what I'm eating, and I'm not eating a whole lot, but still, if I track it, maybe I can figure it out and then get a handle of it. But
yeah, it all comes down to whether or not it matters.
God,
right?
God will provide.
Yeah,
Right? Isn't that the saying?
That's the thing.
If God wants me to be thin, God
Iluvatar,
will.
Iluvatar.
Iluvatar. Oh
Man. Yeah, it was funny because Ariel was making the comment today. Because I've been working out more, but it's like, so I like do a half hour during lunch, and then every once in a while I'll do something after work. But she was like, you like work with 2 competitive CrossFitters. Why don't you just go to the gym with them?
Yeah.
So it would be fun because I like Chase has asked me to multiple times, like
to like work out.
Yeah. So I'll probably go and just get wrecked one of these times with them.
That'll be interesting. You should record that and put it up.
Oh yeah. Whoa. Oh, so like actually that wouldn't be a bad idea because Chase is a big nerd.
Oh, is he?
And he wants to be on the podcast. So we'll have him on the podcast at some point. I told him that we'll get him on. Stop smacking stuff.
Sorry, it's just I'm not used to. And then this thing broke.
Oh no!
And so like I have no way of tightening this other than with like a wrench, and I don't have a wrench. So,
well, as you can see, I still don't have my boom thing set up, just because again, I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Yeah, I've moved my boom setup so many times. Like it was like up here. Now it's like now I have it down here, like as a little thing, but it's not staying right. So, anyways,
yeah. So fitness is going well. I feel better about my fitness now than I did even like a week ago.
That's good.
Yeah.
I do not. So the week that I was in Long Beach, I did work out.
Right.
I did one workout that Melissa found for me. I think we talked about it.
The running and double under one?
No, running and burpee one.
Running and burpees, and that's the one that your sister made fun of you about, right?
Yeah, that was the one my sister made fun of me about. And then I did mostly running while I was down there. And then I came back here, and I've been consistent with the Wendler, and then trying to pair it with like a WOD, and it's been okay.
Yeah,
it's just I'm nowhere where I was, and I wasn't any good, but I was nowhere where I was when I was going consistently into the gym.
Are you still feeling stronger?
I
like
think
maybe
so.
Less fit but stronger.
Less fit,
more
stronger. Yeah. I mean the back squats,
goals,
the
right?
deadlift. Yeah, the back squat, the deadlift. Those all look good. The bench press, I did 4 at 184 today.
It's way more than I can.
So yeah, I would like to hit. I forgot what I hit for my deadlift. Actually, my deadlift is limited to what we have to the amount of plates that we have, and we don't have enough plates for me to hit 4.
Right.
So I can only do so much in terms of my deadlift.
Yeah. When you run out of plates, you run out of plates.
Yeah.
But high reps, low weight, you can get strong off of that.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to do one of those heavy workouts. That are like
the 315 in handstand push-ups, like Diane type of thing.
Yeah, like that kind of heavy.
Well, because like heavy Diane is 315. I think Diane is just 225, isn't it?
225 or 275?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I put up a wall ball station for Melissa in the garage.
Oh no, it's 225 because I remember because the open workout it was 225 handstand push-ups and then you added 45s on and it made it 315
Oh, that's
with the
right. Yeah,
handstand walks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get to that?
I did 2 at 315 and that was the most I had
Yeah.
ever done.
Yeah.
Like that was the most like with all of that work beforehand, the fact that
Right.
I was able to get 2 at 315 cuz like I think my 1 rep max is like 355.
Yeah.
But that's not, that's not with 1269 at 225 before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't get to the handstand walks, but I got done with Diane and I think I went sub 5.
Yeah, you were quick. I remember that.
Yeah. You're out of focus.
Oh, am I?
Ooh, speaking of which, though, move out of the way.
Oh.
Show everybody the flag. Oh,
It's green. That. Trust us, it's green.
Yeah, it is green.
The way the light comes into this room at this time,
everything looks gold.
Everything looks gold. I do need blackout curtains.
Yeah,
it's gonna be super hot in here. Which and actually, I may rearrange the room again because the dog ruined the bed.
Oh no.
So we have to dispose of the bed.
Ben or Rosie?
Rosie.
Oh, okay.
Ben's the good one.
Yeah, I know. But I love Rosie.
I know. Rosie's the little
scamp.
Nightmare. Yeah, I mean, and then today, what did I do today? I didn't feel too bad with. Okay. I've gotten a lot better with my double unders.
Nice.
And it's just I did that. It was 75 double unders, 50 air squats, and then 28 calories on the rower.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I mean, gross.
3 rounds.
Okay. So nothing too crazy.
Yeah, not too bad.
Oh, did I tell you that the gym that I got a membership to has a air runner?
Mm-mm.
Those are fun.
Are they? Is that
They're terrifying, but they're fun.
What's an air runner?
I think it's a salt brand.
Oh, like a bike?
Yeah. No. It's like the runner. It's like the U, like the elliptical.
Like that.
It's not powered.
Like, that U-shaped like treadmill.
So that's fun. I've run on that a few times, and that's a good time.
If you're gonna run, I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah, right. I think everything in general is going to be running a lot smoother. It was funny though because Ariel, we were at the store and we were talking about her being on this one because we haven't really been able to do that before.
Yeah.
And she was just like, she's like, yeah, but if I'm on that one and I mess it up, you guys are going to have to record it for like the 5th time.
Yeah, let's not. I mean,
so we'll have her on.
Ariel's great. Ariel's great, but I really, really don't want to do this again.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll I definitely want to like I want to start doing that a little more often where we can get all 3 of us in on them. And then like I said, like other people can pop in like Chase and anybody else who wants to.
Yeah. Irfan still needs to get in.
I know, we still need one with Irfan.
Yeah. I need to reach out to him, see if he wants to go golfing one of these weekends.
Lucky. It's 104 degrees here today.
It's supposed to be hot this week here.
Dude, I'm just happy that we have AC.
I have a little fan. I don't know if you can hear it.
I can't actually. So okay, that's good.
Yeah. That's my AC because we have a 106-year-old house.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know anywhere. Like, I did not know a single person who had AC in their home in the Bay Area.
Yeah. You don't really need it. It's only been really hot.
Don't really need it, my ass.
Well, now you do with global warming, but
the last like 4 years have been awful there.
Yeah. We're Melissa's like, you're getting your wish. And I was like, my wish? What wish? She's like, didn't you want to like hole up in the bedroom and like didn't you want it to be like super hot so that we could hole up in the bedroom with the AC unit? We have a portable AC. And so we just like turn it on, blast it, and then close everything, and we just hang out in the bedroom all day.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Right.
Ariel and I did that more than once when we lived here last. We lived in an old house and we just had like a window AC unit in our bedroom, and we would do that sometimes. You just like lock the door and like just stay in the bedroom. Moving on to Swolhirrim type things though, or since we already talked about the Rohirrim type things, did you see
Oh, the new is
the
it
New Line
like
Cinema thing?
yeah, the animated thing that they're doing?
Well, and it's like anime.
Yeah.
So I'm worried.
You're worried?
Okay, here's the thing. Let's talk. Let's talk about this.
So, okay, well, I'm going to stop you. All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, good.
Just I wouldn't worry too much about the anime aspect of it.
It's not that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what worries you?
The reason why it's not that is because Ariel actually knows. So like some of the showrunners, Ariel knows a lot about anime, right? And so like some of the showrunners and stuff, like they were a part of Ghost in the Shell, and like she's like told me like, oh yeah, this is a really good anime, like this is good, blah 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 blah, right? So like it's not that worries me. It feels like because the Amazon show is coming out, New Line is doing like a money grab.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me. Because I'm just worried that it's not like, but it's the War of the Rohirrim.
Right.
Like, how awesome is that?
We get to find out about Hammerhand.
Yeah. Not and like I mean that's when correct me if I'm wrong, but that's when Aragorn fought with what's his name's dad, King Theoden.
Did he?
Oh no, because Aragorn's only 87, right?
Yeah, this is
like 250 years before.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then. Never mind. So wait, so is this going to be Ecthelion?
What do you mean Ecthelion?
Well, because like there's the story is this going to be when like Rohan becomes Rohan?
Yeah.
So this is the story of Ecthelion. Like Ecthelion's going to be in this, or probably will be.
I haven't read anything about it.
Yeah. In the book that you have, The Unfinished Tales, there's a whole like story about the like breaking up of Rohirrim or of Rohan. Like them, like, you know, splitting from Gondor.
Did they split from Gondor?
Well, they were all a part of the same kingdom. It wasn't called Gondor at the time. It was
no, because I thought they were a different tribe of men.
No.
And I don't think that's right.
Yeah, no. So like you've got the Aorlings, right?
Aorlings.
But like they were a part of the kingdom of Gondor, but it wasn't called Gondor at the time. I can't remember what it was called. So yeah, they were different people, but they were still ruled by the king of Gondor. But because of this war and because of what they did and like how they did it, he basically gifted the land to them.
Right. That
that
I do know.
So that's awesome though. Like I love that we're going to get that story. It just seems like a money grab. Like it seems like New Line is like, we're gonna do this so that like Amazon can't.
Well, I mean, Amazon can't because they don't have. This is all Third Age stuff.
Right, but that's the thing is like New Line and what is it, MGM or Warner Brothers?
New Line?
Well, it is New Line, but it's another studio as well. But anyway, I think that the way that these things are usually set up is like if they don't do something with those rights every so often, then they expire. Right. Yeah. And so like that's kind of, again, that's what I worry about, is that they're like doing this as like a money grab. They're doing it so that Amazon can't get the rights to it, like all of those types of things. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to be like how we've talked about the show. Like I want to just be like, I'll wait until it comes out.
Yeah. So Rohan already existed because he was the ninth king of Rohan.
Oh, so this is way after it was gifted then.
This is way after it was gifted.
Okay.
He's the last king of the first line.
And who is this?
This is Helm.
Oh, okay.
And he fought the Dunlandings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this will be. I mean, this will be.
This is going to be good then. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I feel like you've convinced me. I'm going to wait until it comes out. I don't know if I like that it's going to be a movie instead of a series. But either way, like, I guess I can be excited.
Yeah, this is a long time before.
Well, because it's supposed to be like 250 years before Theoden, right?
Well, let's see. So Helm was. I'm looking this up. So Helm was 2798 of the Third Age.
Okay.
And then
when was Theoden born?
Theoden was born 2948.
So yeah, about 250 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, well before Aragon as well.
Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. Well, I feel like you've kind of changed my mind on it. I'll wait and see.
I think it's gonna be really good. It'll be really interesting. I'm kind of glad that they're doing it as an anime.
Yeah.
It's just the anime, and again, like a series would be fantastic, right? Because then you could do something along the line of like, I love like The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
And like you could do like a 4-part series, right? Where it's just like 4 seasons.
Well, and that's kind of what they did with, I don't know if you've seen any of Netflix's Castlevania.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they took the video game Castlevania and turned it into an anime.
Yeah.
So like something like that I would like.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because he's the one who built Helm's Deep.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know if they're gonna be able to go into all that, but
well, and because it's New Line, they should be able to still use, like, if they want to use Peter Jackson's vision of Helm's Deep.
Oh yeah.
They can still do that because it's the same company.
Yeah,
which would be kind of cool.
It's gonna be good. Trust me, it's gonna be good.
All right. I'll trust you. On another note of film, I guess, because honestly, I don't know if I'm going to use any of what we did last week. I know you sent it to me. It's a mess.
Wasn't there one part that we said that we were going to use for the introduction?
Yeah, and I think I'll find that. Like, I'll search through that and find it. But anyway, it is cool that it's confirmed. Yes, confirmed that season 1 is done filming and it is in post-production. The other thing is something that I've heard, it's not confirmed, is that 2021 is the release date of the first season.
That's right. So
that, like, we talked about it, that could be December of 2021, right? But
fine with me.
Yeah, right. It doesn't matter. It might be this year. Like this year that we get the second age on our TV screen.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Like that's amazing. Like I'm beyond stoked about that. Like I'm so excited, and I stalk all of the actors' Instagrams. Like if you follow the Swolhirrim on Instagram, the Swolhirrim also follows all of the actors that are in the show. And there are a lot of them that are still posting pictures of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And so I think
because they were delayed, maybe they're filming season 2 already too.
I honestly think that they might be just kind of like burning through a few seasons.
Yeah.
because one of the other like rumors that I heard, right, was that they are actually going to film like 3 or 4 seasons back to back to back, essentially to make it so. And I don't like this verbiage because it sounds a little like but
Uh-huh.
like essentially it's so that they can make it so that it's uncancelable, cancelable.
So they
Because they're
can't.
like,
So they can't cancel it.
yeah, they're like, we already filmed 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, um,
It's Amazon.
I know. Yeah. So
He can
anyway,
he can forego going to fucking Mars
yeah.
and
Well,
just put out the 4 seasons.
he wants to anyway. Like, that was the whole point, right? The whole point is that he wanted, like he loves, Bezos loves books, and he's
Yeah.
talked about like Tolkien before, right?
Yeah.
And so I really do think that's the whole point here is he found something that wasn't already owned by MGM or New Line or whoever,
Right.
right? And he was able to take that and bring it to the screen like we all want. Unless you're an asshole who sits there and whines and complains about things.
Yeah.
But in reality, we all want it.
We all want it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Well, on to dwarves.
On to dwarves.
Dude.
I ran out of interesting segues on this after we did it like 7 times. I'm just done. Dwarves, they're tiny, they're angry, they gather gold, they fought orcs, they took back a mountain, and then one of them was able to go to the Undying Lands.
This is Carlos.
That's the end of the show.
This is just and that's the beginning of the podcast. Oh man, that was good. That was good.
I am telling you, we have tried to.
We've gone through this so many times.
We've tried to do this so many times that I finally decided. I was like, yeah, it's just not. It's not meant to be.
We are because Aule went through the trouble of building these sons of bitches, so we are going to talk about them. All right, so let's talk about that. That was my segue.
That's your segue. Oh,
that was my segue. My segue is that lovable screw up, Aule, when he's all alone.
He's just a goofball.
He was really lonely. Apparently, Yavanna wasn't enough for him.
Well, he wanted little hairy men to play with.
And he built. Right? He went ahead and he got in the clay, right? And very biblical sounding.
So he was bored. Right? He was bored.
Right.
He was bored. Right. He was bored. He wanted someone to teach. He wanted people to teach. Right. The elves weren't woke. They weren't awoken yet. Right.
Right.
And I think we've talked about it before, so it's no surprise that the Noldor ended up becoming his pupils.
Right.
They were the most interested in crafting. But an age is a long time.
Yeah, right.
To and who knows how long they were waiting for the firstborn to be born. And so he decided, I'm smart enough and doggone it, I'm talented enough that I could probably make some of these human thingies, right?
Right.
But he's not smart enough. He's not talented enough.
He kind of he didn't get the dimensions quite right.
Nope. Do you remember that episode of Friends where Rachel's making the truffle?
Yes.
And she makes it, with a layer of like all the custard and
right,
all that
right.
stuff. And
then she had like meat or something.
She adds meat because the page stuck.
Right.
That's what I think happened.
Yeah.
He found the recipe for elves and men. And the page stuck. And so he was trying to make elves, but then he made elves and men. And
right.
Then somewhere along the line, he added a little too little height, too little height, too much hair.
too much girth. Yeah, I mean, you had 4.5 to 5 feet most dwarves, right? They're supposed to be strong and sturdy, right? He kind of thought like, hey, if they're going to be a part of this world, they're going to need to really like be able to handle this world, right? And he's the type of person that's like in the mines, he's around fire, right? So he understood that they need to be strong and sturdy and all of that fun stuff. Not only that, but like you said, he made them incredibly hairy.
Yeah.
And
from birth.
From birth, and the only time that they shaved was out of shame.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I mean, it's a thing, right? It's
a thing. People do that.
And it's interesting because like we see that and we know that from the writing. However, that's when Peter Jackson wanted to give us sexy dwarves, he kind of foregoed that with Thorin and Philly and Killy.
Thorin had a beard.
You telling me he didn't shave that thing?
He had a beard though.
He had a beard that looked like yours.
He trimmed it. No, it wasn't this short.
It's pretty short.
No, it's not.
You don't know.
I know.
Anyway, it's shorter than mine.
It's shorter than yours, possibly. I'm gonna keep going. And
Killy had like this. I know I'm gonna have to like pop in a picture. I haven't done that in so long.
It's bigger than mine.
It's bigger than yours, but it's smaller than mine.
It's bigger than mine, shorter than yours.
Killy's is about.
Hold on, let me say that. It's a long. No, wait. His beard,
yes,
is fuller than my beard.
That's the start of the podcast. But Philly and Killy, those guys definitely shaved.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They didn't even have no.
Killy had some stubble, and Philly had the little like goatee thing.
Yeah.
He had the little braids coming down.
They don't count.
Yeah. I should do that next. Rock like little braids coming down like right here.
You shouldn't. Really shouldn't.
I think I should do that.
Yeah. Killy had stubble.
I definitely think I should.
Philly had a braided mustache.
Yeah. Didn't he have like something on his chin or no?
He had stubble.
Oh, okay.
He had a beard about as full as mine. And then he had a longer mustache.
Gotcha.
And then he braided the mustache.
Yeah. Good for him.
Seriously, the only one who had a full-on decent beard, Balin and Dwalin.
Right. Gloin.
Oin and Gloin.
Oh, that's right. What's his name doesn't have one at all either. Dory. Or Nori.
Dory. Does Dory have one?
Either Dory or Nori doesn't.
Dory does. Bomber has like nothing here.
Oh, that's right. He's got like this.
He's got that, right? He's got that old timey.
So is it Nori that doesn't?
I think everyone else does.
No, because Nori's got that weird like bowl cut and no beard.
Nope, he's got like a starfish thing going on.
Who am I thinking of?
Bowl cut and
who's the one with the bowl cut?
Oh, you're thinking of Bomber.
Nope.
Biffer?
Nope. Freaking dwarves.
Let's see. The Dwarves and the Hobbit. Images. Biffer. Oh, Dwalin.
No.
Dwalin's the only bald one.
No, it's a bowl cut. The dude's got a bowl cut. He's the one that says, I'll give him a taste of dwarvish iron right up his Jackson.
Oin, Gloin, Philly, Killy, Biffer, Buffer, Bomber. Ori's the only one that has Ori has a chin beard.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
He's just got like the douche strap.
Oh, he's got like the total just like dirt bag just
Yeah.
chin
Okay.
strap. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Sorry to
All right.
anyone who's got a dirtbag chin strap beard, but seriously, grow it out.
Right. Anyway, they so the image that we got from The Hobbit when it comes to the dwarves, maybe not incredibly accurate, right? But that's okay. We still love the movies. So
I wasn't shaking my head now.
yeah. So what we do know about them, like you said, is they we don't need to go too much into this because we already talked about Owlay and this whole process, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they awoke sometime between elves and men.
Yeah.
Right. We're not.
Well, we didn't. Did we talk about it?
Oh, okay. So they awoke first before elves, and yes.
Well, no, they weren't. They weren't awoken.
Well,
so he made them.
Right.
I'm gonna stop you. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right for the seventh time. For the seventh time. So he made them, but because he is not Eru, right? He's not able to give them life, and they can't be like independent of Owlay, right?
Right.
And so they only were able to move and interact and do anything when he was there, when he made them do what he wanted them to do.
Right.
Eru found out. He's like, you gotta get rid of them. These things are weird. He was about to smite them, and then Eru gifted them life, and they freaked out, and they were scared. And then that's when he realized that Eru gave them life. He's like, you can keep them, but they gotta go to sleep.
Keep your friends. They're just not allowed to be around before my kids.
Yeah, they're my adopted kids now.
Right.
They're the adopted redheaded stepchildren. My apologies to any adopted redheaded stepchildren.
So then when they actually do awake, that's when they awake during between elves and men. And we're not exactly sure. We're not giving a specific timeline. One of the reasons why I wanted to do the podcast on the dwarves, and it's something that we've talked about before, but it's because I actually really like dwarves, and I wish that there was more story about them, and there just isn't. And so they awake, though, a lot like we talked about the elves. I actually re-listened to our Awakening of the Elves episode. It's fantastic, by the way. You guys need to listen to that more often. But I re-listened to that, and it was great.
If you listen to it and you subscribe, then I might get a new camera for this podcast.
But like in the same vein that they basically awoke 2 by 2 by 2 in 3 different families, the same kind of idea happened here, where you had 7 dwarf families that, 7 dwarf lords and their wives, except for one.
Right.
Durin awoke alone.
Yep. And the other thing is they awoke in pairs.
Right.
Not pairs with someone else, but they awoke in pairs of dwarf lords.
Right.
So 2 dwarf lords and their
wives,
ladies, right?
They're dwarf ladies.
There's dwarf ladies.
They're lady dwarves.
And then 2, and then then Durin the Deathless.
And then Durin came up by himself. Now they're most often called dwarves, right?
Yep.
But they are themselves called Khazad. And then by those asshole elves, they're called Naugrim, which means stunted folk.
Yeah.
Which assholes.
Yeah.
Like that's just again the elves trying to prove their supremacy.
I mean they're probably also tired of naming things.
Right? Just like, I don't know, they look stunted.
Stunted people.
Yeah. So they're the Naugrim by them. I don't ever call them that because that's an asshole thing to do.
That is kind of an asshole thing to do.
And Khazad is just a cool name.
Yeah.
And it goes along with their language, which is Khulzdul, right? That KH gives it a kind of a little sound.
Do that one more time.
Khulzdul. You liked it. It's a little ASMR for everybody.
There you go.
But the language itself, they don't teach to non-dwarves, right?
Most dwarves didn't.
Right. That doesn't mean that other people don't learn it.
Yeah.
Right. Because a person can learn Dwarvish around, like if they're around someone long enough, then they can learn it. Right. People can pick up languages that way. But they, for the most part, didn't teach that to anybody.
Right.
The other cool thing, and I know that I messed this up last time, I'll probably mess it up again, is they also had a sign language. And usually what they would do is when they would be speaking in common tongue, right? They would often also sign in their sign language, and they would be having two different conversations. Right. They would say one thing like, oh yeah, thank you so much for having us here, while they're signing, this motherfucker is a son, whatever.
Right.
And their sign language is Englishmek. There we go. I found it. It took
finally got it. You took
Englishmek.
No, not English mech.
No, Ig.
Englishmek.
Yes. I think that's right.
Yeah.
We'll say that it's right. I'm not a professor. And so they're very obviously secretive, right? They don't teach anybody their language.
Which is why we don't have a whole lot of information about dwarves, right?
Right. Because makes my heart sad.
Well, but I get it. I mean, so got to keep in mind that, the Lord of the Rings, the Silmarillion, the Hobbit, those are all translations, right?
Right. They're all tales from a group of people.
Right. It's Tolkien translating this from Western, right?
Right.
From what Bilbo and Frodo and Sam had written in the Red Book, right?
Right.
And then the Silmarillion is a book that was written by the elves.
Right.
And so, those three books, right? Not including like the Unfinished Tales, the Book of Lost Tales. A lot of that's just his unfinished writing, right?
Correct.
And
right.
A lot of it is, canon, but at the same time, it's not
changed.
It's changed and
it's evolved.
But it's still the same. A lot of those stories are still the same kind of premise, that there were other tales told that he found.
Right. Exactly.
The problem is that there were no tales and stories from the dwarves because they were private. So that's why we don't have a whole lot of information.
Right. Private all the way to the point that not only do we not have a whole lot of information, we don't even know any of their real names.
Right.
Right. And that's kind of one of those things. And we talked about this I think the very first time we tried to record. Mm-hmm. But it's another one of those things that's very biblical, right? Because in Genesis, it talks about being given a secret name, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a name that only the angels know you by. And so it's this kind of same idea, right? Where like they hold their name sacred. So like not only do we all of the famous dwarves that we know, Thorin, Gimli, all of them, that's not their real name.
Right. That's their Western name.
Even to the point because they won't write their name, even in Khazad, they won't write it. And so when we have that scene in Moria where it says, "Here lies Balin," they put Balin because they won't write down their actual name.
Right.
Because they don't want anybody else to know it.
So what do we have as far as dwarves?
So we've got quite a few. So most common that we see, right? So third age dwarves, even most of the second age, we're looking at mostly long beards, right? So that's what we see the most of. We've also got firebeards, long beams, iron fist, stiff beards, blacklocks, and stonefoots.
Stone feet.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you did that. Just so everybody knows, he did that the first time.
I did that the first 7 times. What are you talking about the first time?
And
I'm not bitter about having to do this 7 times.
Not at all.
So Durin's a long beard.
Right.
It's the most famous of them. The long beards, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were, for the most part, you know, there you did have your Longbeards, but then he also took in a lot of dwarves who ended up being part of that Longbeard clan, right?
Right.
Because when the world was reshaped, right, and all the mountains that they were in were sunken,
Right.
they had nowhere to go, and
Right.
or when the orcs had taken over, you know, other mountains, right?
Right. All the
Um,
tunnels between the mountains and
yeah.
everything.
So then, you know, they ended up becoming refugees. And so he awoke alone in Gundabad,
Right. Which is
which
kind of
is,
cool to think about.
yeah, it's a sacred site to them.
Right. Which sucks
Right.
considering what happens later.
Yeah. Overtaken by orcs.
Right. Seems
And
to be their story.
seems to be their story. And they did at one point, they were able to fight them back. Like, I forget who it was. But they 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 battled them through the tunnels, right? Like, this is like,
Hmm.
most of these battles were in the tunnels with these dwarves, right?
And it was
And
like months at a time
yeah,
that they
and they're
were in
just
these
slowly
tunnels.
marching towards Moria from these tunnels in Gundabad. So they did take
Right.
it back at one point, but then they lost it again.
Right.
So anyways, he wakes up in Gundabad, travels, finds the Mirror, right?
Uh-huh. I
And
love that
sees, yeah,
story.
and then sees above him, like in the reflection of this mirror like lake right next to the mountain,
Hmm.
um, the symbol that would become the symbol of his house, right? It's
Right.
stars.
Yeah, the star, like the crown of stars,
Yeah,
basically, like
yeah,
the archway.
yeah. And so that's, you see that in the movie on the door to Moria, right?
Right.
Which was crafted by the elves, right? It was crafted by Celebrimbor.
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah. Who, spoiler alert, crafts the three rings of power.
Womp, womp,
And
womp.
then the 9 rings to mortal men and 7 rings to the dwarf lords, which I think we've talked about wasn't ever meant for 9 mortal men or dwarf lords.
No.
It was only meant for the dwarf, or for the elves.
Yeah, right.
So then he lives for a ridiculously long time, and dwarves in general live for a long time, right? Not as
Right.
long as they're not immortal like elves.
Right.
They live longer than men, and even longer than, I believe, the Dunedain.
Yep. Yeah, they
Uh,
live because a Numenorian for the most part is right around like 350 years. I think most dwarves live around 500
yeah,
ish.
so they're the longest lived uh,
Mortals.
mortals in Middle Earth.
Right.
And Durin lived longer, I think, than anyone else.
Right.
And then that kind of led to the idea that he's essentially immortal, right? His
Right.
story, I mean, he's unique in all the dwarf lords, right? Born alone, you know, awoken alone, right? No partner either. And so you know, the dwarves would believe that certain people would be reincarnated into an as Durin. And so you have Durins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I believe 6 is the
Six,
last one.
because 6 was after Thorin.
6 was after Thorin, and he took back Moria. So
Right.
spoiler alert, they do get Moria back.
Boom.
And so you know, in the first age, they ended up founding 2 cities, well before the elves had shown up,
Right.
Belagost and Nagrod.
Which was one of those things too that I'm sure, like, it was this idea that I would say it probably started a little bit of animosity, right? Because these dwarves who'd been there for a while, they found Belagos, they found Nalgron, right? And
Yeah.
then and then these elves show up and they're like, oh yeah, Balerion's ours. It's
Yeah.
like, hold up,
Yeah.
what?
We were here first.
Right.
Um,
And so in those places, though, that is where, they very first were making things like weapons and chainmail and
Yeah.
things like that,
Yeah.
right? Um,
And contrary to like what you see in in the Lord of the Rings and the dwarves not, or even in the Hobbit, right? And the dwarves and the elves not getting along together. Like that is true to some extent, but it's the
right,
Sindar elves that the dwarves really didn't like.
right,
And the Sindar elves really didn't like the dwarves, which makes sense because that's what Legolas is, right?
right,
And so that does make a little sense. But they had a decent relationship with the Noldor elves because
right,
they shared similar interests, right? They're both
right.
crafters, and
Right. And
so
they
that's
they both learned from Aule. They both, but again, those Noldor elves, those weren't the ones that were around and were kind of pushing them around when they were first, introduced with the elves. The Noldor pretty much just passed through Beleriand all the way to, Valinor, right?
yeah,
Um, and it was Fingal that stuck around,
yeah,
right? And they weren't even that like they were friendly with Fingal as well, right?
yeah,
They carved out the city of Menegroth,
yeah.
the city of the thousand caves. Like they made that for Fingal.
Yeah, and they
Um,
traded
yeah.
weapons and mail and all that stuff. So they built a city for Thingol. They also killed Thingol,
Well,
which
yeah.
which will
Spoiler
ruin, yeah,
alert.
which will definitely sour relations with somebody, right? If you kill the
Right.
leader of a people,
Well,
chances are they're not going to like you very much.
there were things that they did before that though,
Yeah,
right? So I mean, like the dwarves of Nargron were very popular when it came to weapons, when it came to mail. Like that was something that they did.
yeah,
Belagost, you were looking more at things like gems and jewels and beautiful things like that. Nagron, they created two very famous swords, right? Angrist and Narsil. And both of these swords are incredibly famous, and they stuck around for a very long time, right? I'm pretty sure Angrist is Iron Cleaver, right? That's the one that Baron uses to cut the Silmaril from the Iron Crown. And then Narsil, we all know very well because of the movies, right?
right.
Um, and so these are two very, very famous swords in Middle Earth. Um, Now, before they went and murdered them an elf, they also did a really good one of the few wars that we hear them take part in with elves and men
Is this
or
the
men.
battle?
Yes,
The
men were
battle?
involved.
Battle
Yes,
of unnumbered tears?
yeah.
Yeah, the men were
Um,
awake. Men were woken at this.
Yeah, so one of the very few battles that we get, all three of these races of, children of Iluvatar, right? Even though they're the stepchildren. One of the only times that we see all three of them together fighting is in the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, right? And they were the very first ones to full on just fuck up a dragon, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about that real quick because there is some context needed there. Glaurung, the father of all dragons, decided to step out of his cocoon a little early, right?
Right.
Um, and I think we actually talked about this at one point, or maybe I'm just remembering, one of the 700 times that we've done this podcast, where Melkor was not happy about that,
Yeah.
right? Melkor was not, well, I guess at this point, Morgoth, right? I think we agreed that now that we're past that point in time, we
Morgoth.
call him Morgoth.
Yes.
I like Melkor. I like that name, but Morgoth.
Yeah.
Morgoth was not happy about that, right? He's like,
No.
you're not ready. What are you doing out there,
Yep.
you dummy? Like, you think you're ready for the big world? Obviously, you're not, right? So what happens is they actually cause some real damage to Glaurung, right?
Yeah.
But in the process, their king died.
Yeah.
So again, one of my favorite stories, because we don't hear much about dwarves. Their king dies. They decide they're done. Like right there, battle's still going on. They decide they're done. They pick up their king, carry him overhead, and start singing as they leave. That's it. They were out. They're like, nah, we're
done.
Our sacrifice is enough. Our king died. We're out of here.
I mean,
right.
That's reasonable.
Well, and they did enough to make, Glaurung go back to his little hole.
Right.
And so they at least helped out the elves there. Now, what you were talking about, though, is shortly after that, King Thingol gets himself a Silmaril.
Yep.
From his son-in-law Baron.
Yep.
And King Thingol decides that he wants to make a very pretty necklace out of this.
He wants to keep the Silmaril.
I think everybody probably told him this is a bad idea. Actually, you know who probably really told him it was a bad idea? His wife, who was a Maya, that he never listened to.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to listen to any, you should always listen to your spouse.
Right.
But if your spouse is a literal demigod, then
you should probably listen to that. So instead, he decides, no, I'm going to keep it. And not only am I going to keep it,
I'm going to flaunt it too.
Yeah. Like legit, to the, I mean, and this kind of goes back to, and we're in this in some of our history episodes, right? But this kind of goes back to that idea of.
But you know what? Good for him. Good for him for feeling confident enough to wear a necklace,
and with a big old Silmaril on it.
Big old Silmaril on it. Big old pretty necklace.
Yeah,
like good for him.
But I mean, I honestly feel like it's kind of the curse of the Silmaril, right? I mean, that's what Feanor did. Yeah. Feanor walked around with it on his crown, right? It was this big thing where he flaunted it. Morgoth did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so Thingol is like, I want dwarves. I want you to put it in a necklace. And they did. And then they said, it's ours now.
Yeah. What they said was, this is pretty, we're keeping it.
Right. Like
you need to pay us, and the only thing you could pay us with is this thing that we made.
Could you imagine if that's how business was done?
Yeah.
We made this thing for you. It's really pretty. I want it. I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah. I made this thing for you, and it's really nice. And you need to pay me, but I'm keeping it.
Yeah. It's like I think the one thing I can really think of it is somebody goes to a mechanic and gives them a classic car and says, rebuild this classic car. And they do, and when they're done, they say, your payment is this car.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. So that didn't go over well.
No,
right?
He didn't Thingol did not like that.
So
and the elves did not like that. And the elves were like, stabby, stabby, takey, takey.
Right.
And the elves were like, no.
Well, and Thingol was murdered then and there.
Yeah, that's what I said. Takey, takey, stabby, stabby.
Yeah. So Thingol was murdered there and there. Dwarves just said, yeah, no, you're dead.
Yeah.
And then they bounced. Now, this again was something that we talked about, is those dwarves had to end up joining with the Longbeards.
Yeah.
Right. So the dwarves from Nargothrond, I actually don't know which family they came from, but they weren't one of the Longbeards. Right. They were a different family.
Yeah.
They ended up being kind of taken in by them because they were almost completely exterminated.
Yep.
Thingol's elves did not take it well that he was murdered, and they wrecked those dwarves.
Yep.
and
that's why they don't like each other.
Well, and that's that also, that's again part of the dwarves' fault. So we talk about the Silmaril, but we see with dwarves, we see often this greed thing, right? And so they took the Silmaril, and then they also took pretty much all of the treasure of Menegroth.
Right.
They were like, oh, we're going to take all of this with us, which bad idea if you're running from a bunch of elves.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to take a bunch of gold that weighs you down.
Right.
Even if you are natural sprinters. Right?
They're useless over long distances.
Yeah. You do have to go a long distance to get away from those elves.
Right.
Yeah. But we did leave out a group of dwarves.
Right.
Of dwarves that we didn't talk about. The petty dwarves. And the petty dwarves
are the worst.
So the petty dwarves are actually they're not like a group. They're not an actual like subset of dwarves as much as they are dwarf rejects.
Right.
So they're a lot shorter than regular dwarves.
Right. I think they're closer to like hobbit size.
Yeah. I think they're also not bearded.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. I may be wrong on that one. I may just have made that up. That might be just headcanon for me.
Yeah. Because the Druidane aren't bearded.
Yeah.
But they're not dwarves. They're anyway. I think the petty dwarves are bearded. Nonetheless.
So the petty dwarves are made up of all the rejects from all the other dwarf clans, right?
Right.
And there's I don't know if it's canon or not, but I've read that they could be dwarves who were a little free with teaching Khuzdul to non-dwarf people.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so they were exiled for doing that. So they're just kind of shitty dwarves, right?
They're assholes.
And they're virtually exterminated and hunted. They were actually hunted by the elves who thought they were an animal.
Right.
Until they found out, oh no, wait, those are dwarves. And so very, very small in number. When you get to Mim, who I think was the last petty dwarf, who is him and his two
sons,
who is imbued by all the other dead asshole petty dwarves to become the the supreme asshole petty dwarf.
Right.
And Mim plays in the tale of Turin.
Yep.
Turin.
And basically just screws over anybody that he comes across.
Yeah.
Like anybody. It didn't matter. He tried to fuck over Turin. He tried to fuck over Turin's best friend Beleg. He tried to fuck. I mean, like literally.
Oh, he hated Beleg.
Right.
He kind of liked Turin.
Right.
Because Turin kind of pledged himself to Mim after he found out that he killed one of his sons.
Right.
Hurin found out about his. I think it was Hurin. Found out about his history with Turin and was like, this guy's an asshole, and I think killed him.
Yeah.
And then did he curse him? I want to say he cursed the treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That
Mim sat on.
That Mim sat on at Nargothrond.
Yeah. Because it was where it was after Glaurung, it was after Glaurung left Nargothrond.
Right. And then was killed by Turin. Spoiler alert. Sorry, people. Read the stories. And so then Mim dies. His son dies during that kind of battle too, I think, his other son, and then that's it. That's all the petty dwarves.
Yeah, they're
Um,
gone after that.
yeah.
Yeah. And so what we really get is that during the second age, and this is something that you kind of brought up and you were talking about, second age is actually where we get a lot of friendships from elves and dwarves, right? But like you said, that was because it was the Noldor for the
Right.
most part,
Right.
right? The Noldor were friends with the dwarves of Khazad, right?
Yeah.
Celebrimbor, used the furnaces of Khazad. He made the gates of Moria with the king, and that was something that they held in common. So a lot of times when we think about like the hatred between elves and dwarves, we really are, and this is something that you talked about already, we really are talking about Sindar,
Yeah.
right? Because of Thingol.
Yeah. And I mean, because there were more of them,
Right.
right? Just
Also,
just
yes.
by the group, right?
Right.
And then by the time we get to third age, almost the Noldor are almost all gone.
Right.
Right. There's still some that are still hanging out, but they're like heading back to the Undying Lands.
Right. A lot of them are dead.
A lot of them are dead. So yeah, the dwarfs don't really have a beef with the Noldor. And they were on better terms with the Noldor elves than they were with the Sindar.
Right. And then, I mean, really, where we get like 90%, 90 to 80% of our knowledge of dwarves is The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I mean, we have pieces here and there in different, histories of Middle Earth and the Silmarillion and stuff like that. But really, the majority of what we know about dwarves comes from The Hobbit.
Right.
And what we know from The Hobbit is that Moria was taken, that Erebor was taken by a dragon,
Yep.
and that dwarves will pretty much do anything to get their gold back.
Yeah.
That's really what you learn is that
it was seven dwarves?
13.
No, 13 dwarves and a hobbit to take back
a dragon.
To fight a dragon, take back a mountain.
Yeah.
That's kind of stupid.
It was because it didn't really happen that way.
No, it did not happen that way. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you want to talk about as far as Hobbit dwarves?
Well, one of the things that I think the most
all I have here is the Hobbit shit.
I think one of the most important things that we get out of The Hobbit is that the line of Durin ends.
Yeah.
And so because
I think the direct line,
right? Because Durin the Sixth does not come out of that direct line.
No.
And so we see the direct line of Durin ending, with Thorin, Killian, Philly dying. That line has ended. And that only happens because they're stubborn. Now, a little bit of that is a push of Gandalf as well, right? Because right. Gandalf understands that, hey, maybe a dragon isn't the best thing to have in this world when we've got other dark powers coming in as well.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that's my biggest takeaway when we're talking about like what dwarves are and what they've done in the world is, one, they were able to help defeat, I won't say defeat because obviously it was Bard that did it, right? But they were able to help defeat the last dragon. We see the end of the line of Durin there. And with that end of the line of Durin,
I don't know if it's that he wasn't. It was 7. It was Durin 7 was the last one.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't not a direct line. So Dane the second, right?
Right.
who ends up becoming king under the mountain
After Thorin dies.
after Thorin, is his cousin.
Okay.
So, so in primogeniture, right? It's the eldest son, inherits, right? Thor
Right.
didn't have kids, so it would have gone to Philly and Killy. So it would have, line would have ended with Thorin, anyways.
That's true.
Philly or Killy would have been the next in line through his sister Dis.
Right.
And then they have a common Dane and Thorin have a common ancestor in Dane the First, who is their great grandfather.
Okay.
And then it's named above him, and then it's the rest of the line. But then it does continue down through Dane, um, who is a direct descendant
Of Durin.
Durin. Yeah,
Okay.
I think you're mixing it with the line that what's his face does in the movie.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like either way, right? We see the dwarves accomplish something, but at a great loss.
Right.
Right. But with that loss, we do have Dane who steps in.
Yeah.
And Dane the Second actually brings about quite a big change with their relationship with Erebor and the people of Lake Town. No longer the people of Lake Town, right?
Right.
Dane actually helps rebuild the city of Dale,
Right.
which is pretty awesome. And we see that there was actually there was rarely any animosity between men and dwarves anyway, but Dane really kind of extended this olive branch to men.
Yeah.
To the point where we almost never talk about the Battle of the North at Erebor. The Battle of Pelennor Fields is something that gets talked about often, but Bard the Second,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. I think it was So Bard,
because it was Bard's grandson.
So no, it wasn't Bard. It was Brand.
Bran.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was his son.
No, it was the grandson.
Because Bran is Bard's Bran is Bard's son.
Bard the Second. Yes.
Okay, so it was Bard the Second.
Yeah.
So Bard the Second and Dane are able to stave off a huge army of orcs that are coming to meet and help fight at Pelennor Fields.
So it is Brand. Brand was slain.
Yeah.
And Dane stood over Brand defending his
to
body,
protect him.
And he too was killed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which is again like a really cool story, right? You've got Bran, the son of Bard, who killed the dragon,
right?
And then you've got Dane, who is the new king under the mountain, right? Fighting to stop basically the forces of Sauron that are going to meet his forces that are already at Pelennor Fields, and Bran dies. And Dane feels so much love and respect for him that he essentially stands over his body and protects him from anything else that would, mutilate or whatever, and ends up dying as well.
Yeah.
And that's honestly kind of the last that we hear about the dwarves of Erebor.
So, like I talked about, right, from Thorin the Third, Dane's son, right?
Mm-hmm.
From him, we get Durin the Seventh,
right,
who takes back Moria, right? And what we know from that is that it becomes this very prosperous place until it's not anymore, right? Until the race of dwarves comes to an end, essentially. And I mean, that's the last that we know of it. Yet we do know that Gimli does go to the Undying Lands, and he's allowed to go by Galadriel, right? Who vouches for him, and Gimli essentially becomes the only dwarf to meet his maker.
Right. Well, and we talked about this, really the only being.
Right.
Because elves and men have never met Iluvatar. We see that happens for Gimli, which is super cool, right?
Yeah.
We also see that, like, before that, he takes his best friend Legolas and they help rebuild both Osgiliath and Gondor.
Yeah.
And
he also founds a like settlement in the glittering
caves. Yeah,
in Helm's Deep.
Right.
And he takes like a group of dwarves there, and they make that another dwarf compound.
Right. And then what we get from the dwarves' own mythology, right? It's not from the narrator. It's not something told to us by the all-knowing, narrator. But what we get from their own mythology is that one day they will be back and they will help Aule rebuild the earth after Melkor comes back during Dagor Dagorath. Yeah. And it will be their job and their honor, right? Because they are adopted children of Iluvatar to rebuild the earth with their creator, Aule.
Yeah. Which
is a pretty cool mythology.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool way to end things.
Right? Sweet baby Jesus. I think we did it.
I think we did it. Is this it?
I think we actually did it.
Look, if something were to happen to this, that's it. We're just done.
I can just imagine you like emailing this file to me and somehow the internet explodes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if that's the case, then Eru definitely does not want this to air.
He's like, stop talking about my stepkids.
37 times we've made this fucking recording. 37 fucking times. I think we finally got it.
Yeah. You got anything else to say about the Khazad?
Nope. I've said things 96 times about the dwarves, about these Nagrim people.
Whoa, sir. Whoa, calm that down. Well, cool. Yeah, I think I mean, we've talked about it before on the podcast. I actually have thought about getting some dwarvish tattoos on the side of my head. So we'll see if that ever actually happens. But
there you go.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Only if this recording works. Can you do
All right.
that?
So we're going to start doing this more often. We're going to have a set schedule.
We're going to have a set schedule.
Chris is going to
have, because we have also rescheduled this
so many times,
half a dozen times.
Well, and I have a very makeshift setup, but at least it's something that works and it's not my poor, sad laptop anymore.
Yeah, this is great. The audio is great. The video is good.
Yep.
I think we're good.
So go ahead, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, right? Comment. That's one thing that Carlos and I talk about all the time. Give us all the comments. I don't care what it says. Correct us. Tell us we're dumb. Do whatever you want. I like interaction.
At this point, I don't read them because I don't think there are any there. So, if you're mad at me, I don't know, because no one's commenting. So
right. If you're listening to us on iTunes, I know 2 people out there gave us 5-star ratings. Have no idea who you are, but
great.
Yeah, I mean, rate us, give us a review. Actually, write your name next time. That would be great. And then, like I said earlier, actually don't know if we were recording at this point, but there's going to be some T-shirts some other swag. I made stickers. I don't know if we put those stickers on. I can make more flags like that.
See, now you can see it.
Now you can see it really well. That's gorgeous.
Yeah. Better.
But those types of things are going to be available for people who are subscribing to our Patreon. And there are plenty of different tiers. And it's not just our Tolkien stuff. It's also, like we've said a million times, like you get at the very beginning of this podcast every single time, we're fitness people as well. That's the whole point of the Swolhirrim, right? And so
he's fitness people.
I have workouts
I'm
as
fitness
well.
Adjacent.
But certain Patreon tiers get you access to workouts and different things like that as well. So if you're enjoying it, guys, I know we've got listeners everywhere: Pakistan, Croatia, Costa Rica, Italy, DC. We've got them everywhere.
Nice.
So if you guys are interested in more of this, let us know. We're going to have more people on. Ariel's going to pop on with both me and Carlos, which will be awesome.
Well, are people going to actually see Ariel?
No, I think
she'll still just be a voice behind the camera.
Yeah, she'll still be ethereal, just a voice out there.
That actually still works.
Yeah, I like it. So yeah, hit us up, but we're done.
Bye.